Review this morning. I told you we had important guests in the studio for us for a conversation. Right now, and today we have a special guest in the studio. Nana Kwesi Boate Esquire is the managing director of the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and the Ghana Publishing Company has been the statutory home of government printing and the official publisher of the Ghana Gazette for 6 decades. Today we want to examine not only what the company is, but what it does for citizens and the national purse as well, because we know those of you in law school, you go there to go and buy your constitution and other relevant materials as well, acts of parliament, amongst many other things. And so we'll seek to put all of that into perspective and have a very important conversation this morning. Esquire, thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning. I trust that all is well with you.
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to see you.
Pleasure. I think it's the first time I've been to the Ghana Publishing Company. I won't say a number of times, but I've been there, but I didn't get the opportunity to meet you. So it's good to have you join us.
I was sure I was there when you came.
Oh, I am sure you were around. I came to help facilitate a few things for myself.
Make sure you visit me in my office.
The next time, I have some few books I have to be buying from the publishing. So when I'm around, definitely, I'll make sure I drop by and say hello. How has the publishing company been since you assumed office as well?
It's been great. Lest I forget. Let me just steal an opportunity to say happy birthday to Justice Senor Jamefe. Do you know him?
Oh,
yes, it's his birthday today.
Then I'll do it proper when we're wrapping up.
Before I forget, yes, the Justice General Senor Jamefe of the Supreme Court. Yes, the Ghana Publishing Company. It's been 8 months of very interesting experience, but I think that the company is the better for it. We have been in a learning curve consistently, and we have introduced quite a number of reforms to make the company more efficient, financially more viable, more stable, to make the staff more, in tune with the objectives of the company and all of that. We've just tried to build a better Ghana Publishing Company, yes.
Just try to build a better Ghana Publishing Company. And my colleague Helen is here with me, and so all throughout we both will be having
taking it from left and right.
Yes. it's very important that I put that on record, so that when she's asking the question, you'll not be like, we are ambushing you in any way or form. Perhaps we'll start from the company itself. What it's mandated to do for the betterment of persons who are listening and who hear Ghana, because I mentioned if you want to buy books, you can go there and buy books. Someone will be wondering, why do you print or do you write books and print and sell? Let's deal with what it is that you do for starters.
So you are right when you said in the beginning that we are mandated to be the state printer and publisher. Per the statute that established the company in 1965, we were supposed to be the publisher for the state. So we published the laws of Ghana. We published so the company was initially called Assembly Press because all the documents, Hansard from Parliament and all of that were published by the company. In addition to publishing those state documents, was also the responsibility to print that time what you call the free textbooks for students in Ghana, amongst other things. As it metamorphosed, the company became a commercial publishing company that does commercial printing. So we are in the same space as any publishing company that is in competition to print books, publish books, print everything else that is printable. But in addition to all of that is the sole mandate to publish and print the Ghana Gazette. and you would understand that the Ghana Gazette is a single most important document when it comes to official government communication between government and the citizenry. So, for instance, you know that after an election, when the EC declares the results, it has to be published in the Gazette before a president can be sworn in. The notice of polls and all of those things by the EC are published in the Ghana Gazette. I mean, the Bank of Ghana has to publish its by monthly liabilities and everything in the Ghana Gazette. Laws of Ghana are to be published in the Ghana Gazette before they take effect and all of that. So we still do that. You want to change your name, you have to come and gazette it. If you're a chief, you have to be gazetted before you can perform those functions. You want to correct a date of birth and many other records that have to be officially communicated to the citizenry. So we do that. And then, of course, we print and sell the Acts of Ghana, the Constitution of Ghana, and all of that. But like I said, we are a commercial printer in competition with private printers around the globe. Yes.
Commercial printer in competition with printers around the globe. Just because you mentioned the Gazette on election results, that piqued my interest because after the 2024 elections, there was quite the concern about gazetting results, which would lead then to whether or not persons could be sworn in, and whether or not an action can as well be commenced in the court of law against a parliamentary candidate who the other side.
About Akwetia.
Not just Akwetia, but since you decided to mention Akwetia, what happened with the Akwetia process, Akwetia gazetting process?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I mean, that's an easy way to get out of it. But you since you've come, have you got an understanding as to what transpired? And perhaps you help us understand what the process is as well.
Well, I think that Akwetia has been put to sleep, so I don't want to open it. There was, in the Supreme Court, a motion that argued whether or not at the time the petition was filed, the Gazette, the election in Akwetia had been gazetted, and whether or not the petition was valid as per the length of time, after a long time it was filed, vis-a-vis when it was gazetted. To the extent that I can tell you, at some point, the CID department was investigating it because a report was made. They came to us and we gave the records that we had. But I would not want to disclose the details in it, especially when the people, the issue has been resolved.
So the issue has been resolved as well? Has been
resolved to the extent that an Eskumi unfortunately passed away. And the investigation was against him. So I do not think that there is any point. And I still have an oath of secrecy anyways.
No, I mean, the oath of secrecy we respect, and the fact that you cannot disclose some of these matters. But on the subject matter of investigations, and I just want a bit more in terms of, we'll clarify that. You say there were investigations ongoing. Did the investigations bother on the fact that some personnel within the publishing company would have engaged in that activity, reason for which the police were interested?
The CID department just wanted us to know, if a gazette was procured and whether that gazette was validly procured. Yes, from us, and what date the election results was gazetted and all of that. We provided all of that information to the best of our ability.
And so from your end, there was no.
Once we were not involved in any case. I mean, we just had to provide what records we had, and that was the end of it.
So when the election is done,
yes,
walk us through, and we are moving away from NSW, but just by way of education as well going forward. How long does it take for the Gazette to be made, and then what perhaps will be the process as well? Because it goes just beyond election results to other matters as well, when bills are passed and all of that.
So we, for instance, when it comes to the EC, when the EC is confident that they have fully certified any election results, they will write a letter to us with a copy of the results that is certified and ask us to publish that in the Gazette. And that is what we do. There is no time limit as to how soon the EC will bring it to us.
Right.
But we know that as soon as that letter gets to us, we have to publish that in the Gazette, because then that is the basis upon which, an elected candidate can be sworn in. And so we do that with as much alacrity as we can, sometimes within 24 hours. More importantly, in recent times when we've been running a 24-hour shift, we do that within 24 hours. The same thing happens with Parliament. When an act is assented to, at that time, a letter will come from the presidency with a copy of the act that is signed in green ink by the president, and we gazette, and Parliament would eventually write to us also when an act takes effect. We gazette when the bill is laid, and
that's to notify the citizens
when the bill is laid until when it becomes law. And consistently, it is not our duty to keep the track of the timing. It is our duty to gazette it as and when we receive a letter to that effect. And if we don't receive communication, then that doesn't fall within our purview.
We'll just stay on the Gazette, because I see a story here on the 29th of August where you were speaking to fake gazettes and the clampdown on same. These fake gazettes, in what categories do they fall under? Is it people wanting to change their names, or it has to do with other things?
Mostly it's been people who want to change their names. They, you're supposed to procure what you call a statutory declaration and bring it to us, and we interrogate the content of the statutory declaration and decide whether or not to put it in the Gazette. And so name change will come to us. Correction of date of birth. People have, date of birth, an error on their date of birth, maybe that birth certificate or, some document, you want to correct that, you come to us. People who get married and want to, bear their husband's names, come to us. So in those processes, sometimes they end up with the wrong person, because they don't know that the only place you can procure a Gazette is the Ghana Publishing Company. So they end up maybe in Newtown or in some place where some Commissioner of Oath is working. They say, well, we'll do it for you. And the Commissioner of Oath may take the money, not bring the records to Ghana Publishing. They create their own document as if they mimic, they duplicate or falsify the Ghana Gazette. In fact, in some cases, some have come, bought a copy for 100 cedis or something like that.
And run photocopies.
Yes, they'll remove the page and they'll clone a page and put it there. And so when we came, we introduced a number of security features on the document itself, such that you can't duplicate it. So, we had to change. You will see that the coat of arms is now a gold color, because we put some security features in there, put some watermark. We've tried to make it as secured as possible. Still, people try. Of course, if you go to an institution with a Gazette and they doubt it, they will reach back to us and we will verify whether or not that document is from us. And if it's not from us, you commit a felony that is punishable. And we've been consistent about, making arrests consistently and handing people over to the police and following up to make sure that they go through prosecution.
And so there is I won't ask that a team has been set up to clamp down on this, but you're collaborating with the police in dealing with this.
Yes, we're collaborating with the police. The visa and document fraud units basically is a unit that most of these offenses go, and we've been collaborating with them. If we catch you, we'll keep you there and they'll come for you.
So with this, when people are looking for a Gazette, possibly for a name change, what should they do? Who should they be finding? Should they be all making their way to the Kimbu area? to try and have this done properly, or you have some persons within specified areas where they can find, and then they go through the right process as well?
So ideally, you must come to Ghana Publishing for a gazette. Yes, at the old Assembly Press. Next to the Polytechnic and opposite Novotel. Ideally, but if you're far away, if you're in Kumasi, then you will go to our office in Bompata at the SIC building, and you will go and do your gazette there. But by all means, you have to find yourself at a Ghana Publishing Company. Beyond that, the only institution where you are safe to go and attempt to procure a gazette is Ghana Post, because we have an arrangement with Ghana Post in their offices beyond Accra and Kumasi, where you can go procure, the process. They'll bring it to us. We finish the gazetting, we take it back to them, and they'll deliver it to you. But last week, if you followed the news, we launched what we call e-gazette.
Right.
We adored it, and so now you can also procure a gazette with your phone. You have to go to our website at www.ghanapublishing.gov.gh, and the link will open, and you follow the prompt, and you will be able to procure a gazette online and not have to come to our end.
Right.
It is a new portal we've just opened where letting the public know. So that is supposed to reduce the burden, and you can do it without having to come to us. We're doing a few things that will soften that blow of having to come. We make sure we are fast enough that you don't wait forever. When we came, the wait, you even if you came to our premises, they close at 4:30. We've extended that to 7:30. So we wait for you to close from work if you have to, and you can come. We're still there till the evening. And we've also made sure that the waiting time, which hitherto was like 8 weeks, now the longest you wait for a gazette is 3 weeks. The premium that was, the faster service was a week. Now you take it in 3 days.
Right.
And we've introduced a 24-hour service. So if you come today, you can come back for your gazette tomorrow. So we're doing our best to soften that blow on the citizenry to make sure that if you need a gazette, you won't feel as though you're going through a punishment to get one.
There was a partnership, or you've undertaken a partnership with the National Service Authority when the registration process. We know there was a delay with NSS registrations for this year. You entered into a partnership. Would you describe that as fruitful? Because my producer was just hinting to me that there were a bit of challenges still, despite that partnership, which was supposed to help the applicant go through the process.
Oh, it was very successful. What happened was that before, when people have disparities in their names, they would just swear an affidavit and take it to an institution, and the institutions accepted it as a basis to change the name, which is wrong. The procedure for changing a name is through a gazette only.
Right.
So even if you swear an affidavit, you need to procure a gazette to be able to officially amend any record. So this year, the National Service insisted that the only way to make those amendments was through a gazette. And there were quite a number. There are still people who have these challenges. So when we reached out and had a discussion, we decided that instead of all of them having to come to us, we moved a group of staff to the National Service Secretariat. And because these were students, we gave them, a big discount so they could do it, at a lower cost. And we also reduced the waiting time significantly for them to a week, so you could just procure the gazette and do it. And as far as I was concerned, it was very successful. We did it for quite a number of thousands of people, maybe 3,000. Some still come to our offices. There wasn't there was no report of any challenges,
And so
except the numbers were large. People had to wait longer periods to get the service, but we did our best to serve all of them. And that was not the end. We intend to get into serious discussions with all of these security agencies that are recruiting. People have similar challenges. Their records are inconsistent. You can't amend those records with an affidavit. So you have to insist that if there is a name change, if there is need for an amendment of date of birth or any of those official records,
right,
you have to procure a gazette for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're willing to enter into similar arrangements. I don't even want to call it partnership, but arrangements to ensure that state organizations comply with the law when it comes to amending records of name and date of birth.
So I know that the police, immigration, fire service, prison service,
and the military.
And the military. The military are a screening stage for a lot of the agencies under the Interior Ministry. Their process is now starting, and so you say that there will be an arrangement of such a nature with them as well.
Yes, I mean we stand ready for these, and we're getting into discussions, but we want to make sure that they won't amend records as per names and date of birth and all of that with just an affidavit, because that is the wrong procedure.
Right.
Now, I wanted to take us back just a little bit. There's something that you said that caught my attention, that Ghana Publishing is in competition with private entities. So
Yes.
There's that commercial angle. How do you balance commercial success with this public service duty that you also provide, and what sort of takes precedence?
Well, I mean, the Ghana Publishing Company is a non-subvented agency of the government. So we have to make money. Otherwise, we won't get paid.
Right.
And so we take the commercial viability of the company very seriously.
Right.
And in recent times, we're taking a lot of steps to make sure we are significantly commercially viable.
Right.
But we have statutory duties that we can't renege on. So it's a serious balance. But trust me, we are in serious competition. We take that competition very seriously, and we consistently try to position ourselves to be more competitive and to stay on top of that competition.
And how's that going so far this year? If you put this year in review, the last sort of 10 months or so, how viable?
Well, I've been there 8 months, and I can tell you, we printed the last year budget. I mean, even though it's for government, it was private sector that was printing it. Until we started a night shift, we proved to them that we could produce better quality. And last year, this year, we printed the budget. We've printed quite a number of books. There are state organizations and private organizations that were, hitherto not printing with us, who are now printing with us. Our commercial viability has increased significantly. Very significantly. And it is so because we've introduced, since I've been there, a marketing department properly so, and a sales department properly so.
Who are going out and seeking
who
business
are strictly involved in commercial sales, commercial sales, marketing and sales. So those two departments have been very helpful in improving our viability in that area. Yeah.
All right, and the fact that you mentioned this, perhaps I want to tie this in with what your plan is since you assumed office 8 months ago. You mentioned some of the new interventions that you've introduced. For instance, on the Gazette, that seal has become golden. You've introduced a marketing and sales department seeking to, amongst many other things, improve on the viability, commercial viability. What's the plan for you vis-a-vis what the president's KPIs were? Because we know that for the very first time, the president has publicly spoken to state institutions, meeting strict KPIs and being profitable, else he will merge you with other entities or you could shut down.
Well, I mean, the Ghana Publishing will be difficult to shut down because you need a Gazette at the very least. But we gave it, we went there with a vision to transforming the company and making it, a very modern if you like, ultra-modern publishing company in the sub-region. And this vision is pretty much on course. What we have done is that we have revised our organogram, introduced, institutional reforms that has made the staff very efficient. We were the first state organization to start the president's 24-hour economy by introducing a night shift that made it possible for us to be able to do a 24-hour gazette and reduce the timing that I have explained. And we intended and still intend to tool the company a lot. So we have established, for instance, from scratch, a digital press center. When we went, the company could not boast of, machinery for digital printing. But we've established a digital press center that is very viable and serving the public well. We are acquiring new equipment. We have some obsolete equipment that need, fresh tooling. And we're doing everything to make sure that the company stays within the competition. And the finances of the company, I can say proudly, has significantly improved. And so we are still at the stage where we're trying to position it to be like every other viable commercial entity and not just a state institution that that is thirsty and just waiting to get drops of water in its mouth. No.
And you mentioned retooling. All of this is being done without any subvention whatsoever from the state.
No, for now, no. And we understand when the company is a non-subvented government agency, and so you have to create the money if you want to spend it. And that is what people usually in government spaces don't understand.
Right.
That once you are a non-subvented agency, your attitude cannot be business as usual. You have to think outside the box, and you have to, look for ways to compete. So we have, resolved some of the problems we met that made us less viable. For instance, when I went, we immediately struck a collaboration with CBG, and so immediately the money collection in our premises,
greatly
started. Yes, because CBG is now collecting it directly and putting it in their account. So there are no leakages there, because its money is going straight to the bank.
Previously, there was that concern of revenue.
Well, I mean, if the more people handle money, the bigger the chance that, you lose revenue through that. And so the less you let people handle money and the banks handle money professionally, the bigger the chance, it's transparency and accountability you are creating in that sector, which we have done. When we went, we realized that there was overstaffing. Let's not mince words about it. The work that could be done by 100 people was being done by 250 people. Again, the habit where in a government space, you say, this minister came, you say, pick my nephew, find somewhere and put him, even if he is not qualified. So consistently, and this one wants to be MP, so the MD wants to be MP, then he has to bring some people from his constituency and show that he's contributing. So you do that, you overstaff the company, and that was what had happened, So
and this overstaffing, something has been done about it. People have been laid off.
No, so this is what we did. When we looked at the problem, the solution that came is, well, let's start a night shift then. So 100 people who would have been laid off were put to a night shift.
So you didn't have to employ fresh.
No,
because you were overstaffed.
Heavily overstaffed. So in 3 weeks when I went to Ghana Publishing 16th February, and on 3rd March, we started the night shift because we already had personnel, we had equipment, and people were idling. And the people who had to go on a night shift were happy that they had become useful to the company. And then so we drew rosters and re-established the structures to make sure that we will kill overstaffing by using the extra hands on the night shift. And that way you only needed a few additional professional hands, say machine operators whom you didn't have in doubles, a few other professional hands to augment the night shift. And boom, we had a night shift, 2 shifts running. It made it easier to then do, for instance, a gazette overnight. And once you could do a gazette overnight, people were willing to pay a price for that service. So you improve revenue. Once your premium gazetting moved from 7 days to 3 days, people were willing to pay a little more for that service. So improve revenue. It made it possible now for how the budget is done. The budget will be released around midnight because you media people don't have to see it, and they are constantly working on it until like midnight. So if Ghana Publishing wasn't doing 24 hours, if the Ministry of Finance could not drive to our premises at midnight, there will be no printing of the budget, for instance. At our end, that's why they had to go to a private sector. Now they could confidently bring it to us. And now it was possible for anybody who gives us work to be confident that, Ghana Publishing, they will deliver it on time. They are working morning and night. So that's how you improve the revenue, by using the extra personnel that we had. So you need to strategize on some of these things. Otherwise, the government companies will obviously not be commercially viable.
Right.
All of this sounds like music to my ears. Especially with this angle of overstaffing and staff not being useful and still being paid. Because when it comes to state enterprises, if I tell you, when we open up the phone lines, the kind of gripe that the average Ghanaian has with state enterprises not being economically viable, not pulling their weight, guzzling from everybody else's purse, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. But to widen the scope a bit, then, what role do you think state enterprises should really be playing to make Ghana as a whole economically viable? Because what Ghana Publishing is doing right now, I think, is certainly the way forward. But expanding that, what would you say that other state enterprises should be doing to follow along, to make sure that we're getting, the best bang for our buck? Because it just becomes demoralizing year in and year out to hear, at least from what we saw in the past, what state enterprises were bringing, or shall I say not bringing, to the economic table.
Well, that's why they say government has no business doing business, but I don't believe that. Government has business doing business, and it is just the case that we have to take, maybe because I've been in private sector long enough to understand these things, we have to take the same mentality that we do with owning our businesses into owning government businesses. Look, I go to work at 8 without fail, and I leave the office, the earliest is 7 p.m. for the most part. And, a lot of the time, jokingly, somebody will ask you, why is a business for you?
Was that business for your father?
Yes, but if we, as a people of a country, want development, then there must be sacrifices, and so it is first attitudinal change. If you've been to Ghana Publishing before and you come now, you will see that the attitude has changed. You will see the urgency with which the staff do things, and the approach to work ethics and everything, because there is leadership. And so I think that state agencies must build a mentality that even if you think the state has no business doing business, if you're put in charge of a business of the state, then you will have to, if you think that the state has no business doing business, then don't go and do the business. But once you are in a state business, and for the most part, some of these entities that are in competition, in areas of competition with public sector, you cannot go to sleep. The idea of creating SIGA and creating some SOEs to be non-subvented is that government has thought about it and realized that there are areas where, government businesses can be viable. And so they should go into the competition and go and fend for themselves. At the very least, even if you are not paying dividend to government. Then employ people and let them get paid properly. And that is what happens. Maybe the other encouragement I'll give, other state agencies is that learn to do business then with government business. So I have 3 banks at Ghana Publishing. It is government banks. I'm not saying don't deal with the private sector, but government money must first take care of government businesses. It makes sense. Then beyond it, if you want to procure services, with private sector, you can. But we prefer to send the business to private sector and leave the government businesses hanging. I don't know why. And I keep telling my colleagues when I meet them, you have printing needs, bring it to Ghana Publishing.
You're leading the charge in soliciting business.
Exactly. You understand?
On the mention of dividend,
and that's not to say that I should take my TV adverts to GTV instead of TV3 or radio adverts to GBC.
We are looking forward to the commercials.
No, we'll give you some, but I'll take you to GBC first.
No, the sum. No, which part is the sum? Is it 40%, 50%?
Don't worry, you will get a significant chunk.
Thank you. On the subject matter of profit making and dividend, I heard you explain that, look, if you're not paying dividend to the state, you should be expanding your threshold such that you're employing more people. With the improvement in revenue, can you say that at the end of this financial year, or give or take, by the time the 4 years is done of President Mahama, Ghana Publishing will be at a place where, if you're not paying dividend, you begin to pay dividend to the state?
I would love to. That decision doesn't lie with me as MD. It will lie with the board. Right?
It will lie with the board as whether or not you pay dividend to the state.
Yes, the decision won't lie with me as MD. It will lie with the board, and I have a very strong 9-member board, and I believe in them. But we are. I can tell you, we're doing very well, but there is a lot to be done. In terms of
taking care of the business.
Yes, we have a 60-year-old structure that leaks when it rains. You know how old government structures sit there. We're still working on fixing the structures. We have obsolete equipment significantly. We still need to buy a lot of equipment consistently to come to the point that I was describing. An ultra-modern, publishing organization in West Africa. There are a lot of areas in publishing that we don't do. Printing that we don't do. We don't do security printing, for instance. It's very expensive, but we would love to do it. Why can't the banks get their checkbooks from Ghana Publishing? That's an area we have to invest in if we can. There are a lot of things that the company lacks. And so the board will have to decide whether we have satisfied enough of the needs of Ghana Publishing, and whether it is time to pay dividend to government. I just want to make sure the business is profitable, and for now we are on course with that very much.
These additional security printing and others, would it require some investment to help you realize that?
It will require significant investment to help us realize that. Now, where the significant investment will come from is the question, isn't it? Whether or not we will be able to save enough, and when I'm talking about significant investment, I'm talking about like $10 million. Whether or not we will be able to, when will we be able to save that to do it? Whether or not we'll have to go and borrow that from a bank, whether or not, government will have to invest in that area if government has enough, because government is a 100% shareholder. So the shareholder has, a right to invest in its own business. And if government feels confident enough that, we are commercially viable enough and wants to invest in it. But by all means, for my vision, for as long as I'm at Ghana Publishing, I do not want us to stop at printing Gazette and printing the Acts of Ghana. We would go beyond it. We're now doing a lot of digital printing. We will publish books. You heard in the budget recently that the Minister of Finance said that we will go back to our mandate of printing the free government textbooks. We will do it happily. We would go beyond it. as and when we have the capacity to improve in other areas of revenue, and security printing, for instance, is one of the visions we hold.
And what's the competition like with the private players within the space since you've come in? Because from pricing, the expectation is that your pricing will be a bit subsidized as compared to what the private player will be given out to businesses. So what's the competition like in that space?
Well, the reverse is the case.
You're actually charging more. We're
trying to not charge more, but we're compelled to charge more because we will comply with all the rules. So until the budget was read and VAT was reduced to 20% flat, if you go to Newtown, they pay 4% VAT because they're a smaller business. But I am compelled to pay 21% VAT. So even if my base cost was smaller, which usually is, just by adding VAT, COVID-19, and national health insurance alone, which I feel we are obligated to do, we would be disadvantaged. If I want to procure in bulk, I have to go through the process, go through PPA before I get approval to procure. So sometimes you procure in bits, sometimes you have to go to the private sector who is competing with you to buy paper. And so we have challenges. That makes competition even more difficult. I mean, they can pre-finance everything. They can, private sector can do a lot that a state institution cannot do when it comes to the competition to get business. So we have challenges in those areas. You will, if you did a job and we do a lot of work for government, it will take quite some time for them to pay us. How soon do you think Parliament pays us when we print the Act of Ghana, for instance? There are some which has been there for years. So
there are institutions where you have to be going to and be taking money which hasn't come through.
Oh, a lot. I mean, you know how it is a little slow when it comes to government because of processes. Yeah. And not a little slow, quite slow. The private sector is taking his money here and then, So those are challenges that we have that affect competition. But we know those are our challenges. And yet we know we are in the competition. For me, those are not challenges that should slow us down at all. And so we have prepared our minds to surmount them and to stay in the competition, and we're doing well there.
Doing well. They were speaking to the managing director, or the CEO, I should say, of the Ghana Publishing Company. He's talking to us about the entity since he assumed office some 8 months. 8 months ago. You said February 16, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Nana Kwesi Boate Esquire is the managing director, Ghana Publishing Company, and so for you, the plan is set out. You're a commercially viable entity now, and the plan is to scale up from here.
Absolutely so. And I invite you to come. You will see the transformation that's going on there. It's amazing. When I sit back and look at what has happened in the last 8 months, I feel quite fulfilled. I mean, from not having a digital printing equipment to having a center for it, we from not having a sales team to having a sales department and a marketing department. We established from scratch a legal department, and even infrastructure wise, the building. I invite you to come. A lot of things have happened. And of course, being the pioneer of the 24-hour economy and all of that, there's a lot going on.
Pioneer of the 24-hour economy is one that interests a lot of Ghanaians. I know at some point the president was supposed to have visited your outfit to find out how business was going amongst many other. Has he subsequently visited? Off the top of my head, I can't recall.
No, that visit was interrupted with an emergency visit to China, you recall, and he has been back, but quite busy. With history, we've had discussions to reschedule it. I'm sure that at his earliest convenience, he would visit.
But back to business and for private individuals outside of the government and its agencies who need printing, what's the incentive or the one reason why they should choose the Ghana Publishing to do business with?
Well, if you do business with the state, you never lose. I mean, if there was anything, to be proud of, is the fact that you contribute, to your nation, in terms of your business. But in terms of the competition, now with our 24-hour economy and the size that we have in terms of staff and equipment, we are faster, we are efficient, we are reliable, and trust me, we deliver quality beyond one that anybody can. These we are proud of. We're faster, we're efficient, we're reliable, and we deliver quality.
Faster, efficient, reliable, and you deliver quality. We're wrapping up.
And all of these four, nobody can contest it. Not at this point. We would deliver faster, because we work day and night, we have a bigger staff, no matter how you try, we are the Ghana publishing company. So we're faster, we are reliable, of course, because we are a state agency, and you cannot have anybody take your money and disappear or any of those things. So definitely we are more reliable, we are efficient. We have equipment, notwithstanding that, some of them need replacement, but we're still the Ghana publishing company. A private person holding one machine sitting somewhere cannot compare to us. So we deliver very reliable services.
And just like I mentioned, as we wrap up, if students, individuals interested in purchasing materials that you publish, because I know you engage private individuals who are seeking publishing services, amongst many other things. Where else can they find the Ghana publishing outside of Kimbu for purchases alone? And have you entered into a service where people can go online, get books, and it can be delivered to them from wherever?
We for now, for safety purposes, our two offices, that's the Kimbu one and the Kumasi one, are the most reliable places to procure all our services.
Right.
In addition to it, in the last 8 months is when we have introduced the online Gazette application, which you can do. We are still working towards introducing an ebook shop, which is where you can procure the books. But remember that we are selling Acts of Ghana, not just any books. We're selling, state secret or sacred documents. And so safety is very important. And so we do not want to put ourselves on the internet without ensuring that we have gone through the right protocols and security protocols. So we're working on these things. We're taking pains to do it effectively. We have not formed any sales partnership, not in a rush, because again, you do not want people photocopying the Acts of Parliament and putting it somewhere and saying, we will have an arrangement with Ghana Publishing.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we won't give you that mandate. You want to go ahead and do it without us, that's fine. But we also are concerned about, what do you call it? Illegal duplication of a lot of our works where we have the rights. We have the sole rights for printing out of my first, my second to the 6 copy books. For instance, in recent times, you go to Makola and some places, people would have, gone to photocopy it or illegally duplicate it somehow, and they are selling. We're cracking down on all of those things to make sure it doesn't happen. So some of the dangers with some of those partnerships is that you give a franchise and people abuse it. We are still looking into all of those, but the safest way to do business with Ghana Publishing is to do it directly.
In the last 5 years, has the Auditor General made any adverse findings against the Ghana Publishing, reason for which you made an appearance at the Public Accounts Committee?
Well, last week we appeared. Last week, I think last 2 weeks.
I think it will be two weeks.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
I was called before the Public Accounts Committee, as part of the Ministry for Government Communications appearance. There were no adverse findings per se. They were reviewing the 2023 audited accounts of the company, there were observations that were put to me that I explained. So they asked me about the indicators of the company. Sales indicators seem to have improved. Of course, they had improved because we're coming from COVID in 2022. So, people were working from home and all of that. If you were making, 8,000, 10,000 around that time, and you improved that to 20,000, 30,000, you're talking about 100% increase. But it was just because the COVID base was low. But one thing that I observed, because they had also indicated that the assets of the company had improved from 2022 to 2023 by 3,000%. And this is just due to, in 2023, Auditor General caused almost all Ghana companies to revalue their assets, because a lot of them had not been revalued for 20 years, and we did as well. So if you have land sitting in Kimbu, which has not been revalued for 25 years, revaluation made the figures look, 3,000%. It was revaluation, not injection of capital, and I think that the company at the time was testy enough. There should be injection of capital, there should be retooling of the company, and so you do not want to create the impression that the company is doing well and investing in the company when all that has happened is retooling of the company. So we explain these things, but that is the only appearance we've had to make at the Public Accounts Committee.
Right. I was going to say thank you very much for coming, but there's one last question perhaps that we need on the gazetting subject matter, because we know that from time to time, and I'm getting the indication it's quite an issue as well, that family heads write to the Ghana Publishing seeking gazetting to be declared as, or appointment as head of the family, and that brings about some conflicts within families. How rampant is this, and how are you seeking to deal with internal family wranglings which are brought before you in the form of requests for gazettes to be declared as heads of families?
So when I came, my predecessor used to gazette heads of families. I don't know why, but I thought that legally we were not mandated to do so. Why do I say so? The Chieftaincy Act says that chiefs have to be gazetted after going through the process of vetting at the National Heads of Chiefs. And so the Chieftaincy Bulletin is a bulletin we create. The records come from the National House of Chiefs to be published. Now, to the extent that the law requires chiefs to be gazetted and does not mention heads of family, even though the law recognizes their existence, it means that the law does not anticipate their gazetting, and rightly so. A head of family is a position of choice by a group of people, and you don't need a gazette to perform the functions you perform. So usually when it comes, and it came very often, very, very often, it is because two families are disputing who is head, and the one who is quick enough to come and procure a gazette now feels they have won. That dispute does not lie within our jurisdiction. You go to court and you have it determined. So we felt that it doesn't lie with us, and you can come and say, 100 people in my family say I'm the head of family. I don't know them. You don't bring their passport photos. They don't come there in person. So I resolved that unless there was very, critical need and there was exceptional circumstances that required the gazetting of a certain head of family, gazetting head of family wasn't our usual mandate.
Where critical need is what?
Well, there could arise circumstances. Let's say, for instance, that Dotumfo has to travel with his head of family, and maybe in the course of a visa application or something, some irregularities observed. But we know who is Dotumfo, so if he swore an affidavit that this person is my head of family, we will have no doubt to confirm in a gazette that indeed we're convinced that the person is head of family, and that for the records, that he needs it for, a gazette must be given. But the general view that a person who is head of family, and it's more here in Accra. You know, because in Accra, lands are vested in families rather than stools. So some heads of family come and take a gazette for purposes of taking dominion over lands so they can sell. You know, some for chieftaincy dispute, you know, the head of family is the one who insults the chief. You come and procure a gazette just to do that, and it causes unnecessary litigation. You know, there is no control. The things that are put in the gazette are sacred. They have to be facts, often beyond any form of controversy. That you are head of family, unless I'm a member of the family, you know, it's not verifiable by me. If you're a chief, that's verifiable because the National House of Chiefs will bring me an extract. They have done their vetting and investigation, and the record is coming to me. So for that reason, yes, I have refused to gazette, you know, heads of families. They've been threats to take me to court in notice of intention to sue. I'm yet to be sued, but if I'm sued, I will go. I'll explain to a judge, and if the judge feels that we should go ahead and gazette every head of family, the litigations will come to the court. But until then, I take the view that the heads of families will not be granted at will, you know, will not be gazetted at will.
Counsel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you come round again. For the young students, they can look forward to the fact that whenever issues of Gazette and some others come up, you'll be there to subsidize.
We would make our best effort. Let me just add, because I always tell that for the younger people who are getting married, please make sure that the pastor officiating your wedding is a gazetted officiating minister. And
that's important.
And the church premises where you are having your wedding is a gazetted premises for weddings. If you don't do this, your marriage may suffer sometime.
Kindly explain.
Well, the law requires that a person who officiates, you know, an ordinance marriage is gazetted to that effect. If that does not happen, your marriage is not valid. And if the premises where you conducted your ordinance marriage, you know, maybe your father has a big house with a big garden and it's beautiful, you know, and these days a lot of event centers and all of that.
All of these places have to be gazetted and be given the status for which.
Yes, if they are not gazetted for weddings, then you need a special permit to have weddings there. Otherwise, your marriage is not valid, and you know it can so be declared. I mean, the experience we had was for a lot of the people who had traveled, you know, outside the country. Sometimes you have assumed your husband's name, you know, he has used his documents to come and, you know, take you out of the country and all of that, and you go and you are regularizing documentation over there, and they will quietly write us a letter to confirm whether or not you have your wedding or any of those were valid, and we check the records, and the marriage certificate you sent, the officiating minister is not gazetted, you know, because there was a lot of issue in Europe. They knew that Ghana there's a lot of fake marriages also, somebody who just married a sister and say, and all of those. So they are keen on it, and they write to us. The problem is that when we write to them, not only will your processes, you know, suffer, they consider these, you know, travel, visa fraud as very serious offenses, identity theft, and you can go to jail for it. So people have to be careful.
And it's important that you mention that as your closing remark. How do people find out, for starters, whether or not where it is they are deciding to have their weddings is gazetted? The officiating minister is gazetted, amongst other things.
We're now working in partnership with other organizations to prepare a bulletin of that. It's not been done over a long period, and so we're working, you know, to get that done. But the safest way for now, write to Ghana Publishing to find out. We'll respond to you.
You write, if you're seeking to get married and you've chosen a destination, you have to write to Ghana Publishing to understand
find
whether
out.
or not.
We would.
If one of these is absent, say the venue is not designated, but the officiating minister is, that passes.
No, it's still valid. It's still invalid.
Means all the boxes have to be ticked.
Those two boxes have to be ticked. The premises has to be gazetted and the officiating minister has to be gazetted. Otherwise, your marriage is not valid. It's very important.
And you have to write to the Ghana Publishing to.
Well,
to,
for
to
the
approve
most
that.
part, in the Orthodox churches, they do it in bulk. The Presby churches, they gazette their premises and they gazette their pastors. But the one-man churches, a lot of them are not gazetted. The church premises is not gazetted. And then you may have no way of finding out. If you ask your pastor and he will gladly show you his gazette, that's fine. Most parts they won't give. In fact, you will get to preaching for it. So the best way is to find out from us. And we're very willing to give that information.
Interesting, Helen. I didn't. I've known for a while, but I thought one could pass.
Trust me.
Because I was part of an engagement which was speaking about marriage, and they mentioned the need to ensure that the place of marriage is gazetted or the officiating. Perhaps I didn't hear.
It's not or, it's and. It's and.
Okay, so it's twofold. You can't do one and not fulfill
No, you
the
can't.
other.
It's and. You need both. Any of the two is missing, your marriage is not valid.
Mawana, do it the right way.
Oh.
You should. I wish you all the best there.
Thank you very much.
So yes, thank you very much.
I appreciate you joining us in the studio. I've enjoyed the conversation. Particularly
it's been a pleasure.
This last public service announcement you've issued. So perhaps I'll ask a curious question. So for persons who will subsequently find out that none of this was done, are there steps they can take to have this done properly? If, for instance, your officiating minister was gazetted, but the venue was not gazetted.
Call him to come and do a new one at a gazetted venue.
Wow.
Why have all the men in the back room now all of a sudden everybody's standing up and attention?
I don't know. I can't see behind me.
But I appreciate you joining us. That's Nana Kwesi Boate Esquire is the managing director of the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. We appreciate your time with us this morning.
I appreciate your time.
We look forward to having conversations
anytime
in the future.
Anytime.
Thank you very much for joining us in studio as well. It will take us on to a very quick break here.